That's hot. That's hot. That's not drinkable yet. No. That's gonna stay there for a bit. That's not. Hello everyone, welcome back to Book and Prejudice. My name is Matt, and for today's video I thought I'd try and tackle the good old question of what the hell do I do with my reading list? Or as I like to call it, the TBR Dilemma. Now, I know that this video, some of you might see it's very similar to the one done by the book Leo. That is because I got my inspiration on how to organize my own personal TBR through her video in which she showed how she organized her reading. So just as a disclaimer, that's where the inspiration for this video came from. I was just so in awe at how she did it that I just wanted to essentially copy her. This is just me trying to be her at this point, frankly. And I think she got her inspiration from Fictional Fates. So I will try and link down both videos below. Not try. I will link down both videos below so you guys can check them out because it was amazing. But yeah, just wanted to say that before we started, and without further ado, let's get in the video. So the way that I organize my reading is in 4 different ways per se. First of all, I have a list in paper of all of the books that I own. This is very helpful, as I will explain later, because I own a lot of books that I haven't read yet. So this is the inventory list of books. I then also have a Notion page dedicated solely to my readings and my books and books that I want to read, in which I have a wish list, physical TBR, and a read reading DNF'd books, which I find super helpful as well. I also have a journal and I also have other systems, but this video is focused solely on the TBR, so that's why it won't show the rest of things that I have. But if you are interested, do let me know and I'll do that one too. Again, highly inspired by the book Leo. The first thing that I have is my inventory list, which is this 7-page long piece of paper. The reason why I have this list and the reason why this is so helpful is because the bookshelves that I have behind me and the bookshelves that are around the books in this house are not just mine. I live with my boyfriend, and therefore I have his books, I have my books, I have my mother's books here, I have his parents' books. So there's a lot of books that are not just mine. Therefore, there's a lot of books that I don't have under my control, under my radar, but I do want to read them. So I decided one day, after getting overwhelmed for the 25,000 bajillion times, that I was just going to write them all down. And the main goal of this list was to write them all down, and once it was finished, to just go ahead and buy new books. That went completely out the window. This list has been updated 3 or 4 times now, which is very annoying, but it is very helpful to have because I know exactly what I have. And as well, it has several sections within the list. So it has the first one, which is my reading list, which is really nice. And then it also has a recommendations list here. So it currently has the book that my mom recommended that I wrote down. But the goal of this is to have people over, and if people want to recommend a book, they can just write it here. Both me and my boyfriend have access to this paper because it's located right here. And we can just look at them if we're kind of stuck and not sure what to read. And then it also has a page turners page as well, because this is the book club that I have with my best friends, and I thought it'd be nice to keep track of all of the books that we read in the future. I don't know how long this list is gonna last. The main goal is to get rid of this list. That's the main goal. I just don't want to see this paper much longer. But realistically, this is gonna take years. There's over 75 books in here. There's series, there's a lot going on. So, but this is very helpful. This is very helpful because it helps me visualize what we have, what we don't have. The series that we have that are not complete. So for example, the Philippa Gregory book series, we don't have those complete, but I know exactly all of the titles that are. So I know that once I'm done with the ones that I own, I know which ones come next, and I can just purchase them and I don't have to Google them because I did that in the past. So that future mom is fine. Very intelligent, I think. But yeah, this is the inventory list, and it is very conveniently located on this side of my bookshelf, because like that I can easily access it. And also I think it's gonna look really pretty when like I start highlighting things and stop buying books. But I really like it. It was a really, really smart idea. It wasn't my idea, it was my boyfriend's idea, because he saw how overwhelmed I was. I tried putting post-its on the books that I wanted to read. It just didn't work out any other way. So that's how I decided to go ahead and do it. The second way I organize my books is through my Notion page, which will now be inserted here. Hi Notion, how are ya? My Notion page is very much my life. So this is my where am I at page, which is where I keep my to-do lists, my goals, my budget, general everything, a bit of everything essentially. And within this page, there is a tab called Books that when we click gets us here. Now, here you can see, besides beautiful birdies, my wish list, my physical TBR, and my reading list. This is the life-saving situation that I'm at right now, because, and this is where the book Leo and her video came very helpful, because she unknowingly gave me the solution to all of my problems. So thank you. I don't think she'll see this, but thank you. First up, I have my wish list. Now, my wish list is where I keep the books that I want, the books that I see on BookTube, the books that my friends talk about, the books that I just think would be interesting. I just skip them in my wish list. The goal is to get all of these at some point eventually, but I'm not sure when. But this comes very handy for birthdays and for Christmases, and as well for random bookshop days, which now I'm not having many because London is in lockdown, but hopefully soon we can go back to these. This is very helpful as well, because sometimes I'll be browsing Waterstones or whatever I'm at, and I'll see a book that I want, and then I'll look at my bank account and I'll realize I can't afford it. Just write it down here, forget about it, and I know that the moment I go back to Waterstones, the moment I go back to any bookshop, this is where I'm going to go. This is, it allows me not to buy aimlessly and unnecessarily. It gives me a purpose. All of these books in my wish list are books that I really want, that I've thought about, that because that's another thing. I'm trying to be more intentional with my TBR, because it's not normal to have 75 books that you want to read. It's just, that should not be it. It should not be something, reading should not cause you stress. So that's why I have all of these systems and changes that I'm trying to implement, not successfully, but still. So that's my wish list. This is beautiful. If anyone wants to get me any of these books, I'll take it. And it's very helpful as well now that I've joined BookTube, because like that I can keep track of the new releases, which are not updated yet because I haven't had time to look at videos or be happy, frankly. This is where I keep all of the books that I want to get. And next up, I have my physical TBR. Now, this is the creme de la creme. This is peak. Beautifulness. Because as I said, the 7-page long reading list can get a bit overwhelming. So with this, what I can do is just prioritize a bit more. What books I want to read, what books I don't want to read, etc., etc. This really helps because it's a much more condensed version of my reading list, and it also gives me the option to prioritize. So as you can see, both on the wish list and on the physical TBR, there are some that are highlighted. So the highlighted ones are books that I'm really interested in getting, and those are going to be like the next books that I get. The next thing that I want to read is Cécile Mort, it's the Kiss Quotient, and in this case it's very much imperative that I read the second one, because the book club is in a week and I haven't read the book yet. Yeah. Here I also prioritize books that are not mine, that I need to return, like for example The Giver of Stars, which belongs to my boyfriend's mum, or any library books that I'll hopefully be able to get once lockdown is no longer in place. This is also a really good system for me, because I am able to drag down any books from my physical TBR to my current reading list, which I will not get into right now. But let's say, for example, that I start reading A Deadly Education, I can just pop that one there and it's good to go. I forget about it. Let me put it back up there because I haven't started reading that one yet, sadly. But it's a really good, easy system for me to organize my books, and it gives me the opportunity to prioritize those books that I want, and I can change these priorities. So let's say that I no longer want to read The Secret History. I'm like, oh, I was very into this concept then, but I'm not in. I can just take it out, just move along, just change it, take it out, bye. The goal, long term, in like 10 years, would be to no longer have the inventory list and just be able to focus on the physical TBR. And then this would become much more of a TBR, real TBR situation, as opposed to just a priorities list. But sadly, unfortunately, I have zero self-control. So that's where we're at right now. So yeah, I'm sorry. It's not gonna get any better than this. It is true though, and this is where the TBR dilemma thing comes into position, is that it's very hard not to give into this consumeristic visual of reading, of especially with so many books being published all the time, of so many genres, with such good plots and ideas. It's really hard not to buy them. It's really hard not to say, oh, I want to get this, I want to get this, I want to get this. And I am the first person to admit that I am such a victim of this, and I am trying so hard to be more intentional with this. But it almost forces us to buy more books than we would potentially buy. We just didn't have knowledge of their existence, I guess, because for me, it's very hard to go and not buy a book. It's my go-to. I'm having a bad day book, I'm having a good day book, and that means that I'm just not enjoying them. I'm going through them quickly and not actually taking time to read them properly, and not actually giving myself the time to actually learn from these books. So I think that is something that everyone in general, and me in particular, should really start focusing on, which is being more intentional with our reading list, because really it does help to put it in lists, and it does help to highlight it and be able to move it around and put it in purple or put it in yellow and whatever. But the reality is that we need to have more of a self-awareness as people of what we can actually accomplish. I don't know if maybe anyone else can relate to this. It doesn't really help when all of your friends read a lot as well, because they recommend you books and you're like, oh, okay, I'll get it right now and I'll start reading it, and I'll put down everything else that I have planned to read. I think that at the end of the day, it's really important to know what we like and what we don't like, and what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. My goal long term is to fill rooms with books that I've read, that I've loved, not that I've, skimmed through because I was stressed out. And I know my partner isn't the same with this one, which is fantastic. And right now I can honestly say that the majority of the books in here I really like and I really want to read, and I'm very excited to read. But realistically, I don't know when I'm going to finish them because there's so many of them. So I think that it's very important that we keep that in mind, especially because it's not... it would not be acceptable to do this with clothes or with shoes. If you bought as many shoes as I have books here, it would be considered a problem. They would make films about you. But with books, it's almost considered quirky, when in reality, it can just be a waste of money, a waste of paper, a waste of resources, and frankly, a waste of space if you do not enjoy and love those books. I would much rather have a smaller library full of books that I love than a huge Beauty and the Beast styled library full of books that I've never even heard of. So I think that that's very important. I think that by saying this, the thing I'm realizing the most is I am literally the problem right now. So if you get anything out of this video, is use Notion. Just do it. Just do yourself a favor. And also just try and be a bit more conscious of what you buy, and try and actually put some love into the books. Like, I've made the decision to buy in paper all of the books from my book club with my best friends, just because of the memories that I will be holding attached to those. But I realistically don't need to buy the next Sarah J Maas book in paper. Frankly, didn't love it. I'll probably just read it quickly over like a period of a few days. There's no necessity for it to be bought in paper. So just be a bit more conscious about this, because I think that otherwise we're risking starting a never-ending circle of buying more books, getting stressed out, not reading, then going back to reading, then because you're reading more, buying more books, and it's a mess. So I honestly would recommend just taking it with a pinch of salt and just buying what actually makes you happy and not just buying for buying, because that's just feeding into the consumerist machine and, you know, all of that. So maybe think about that next time you go to Waterstones Mar. Maybe take your own advice. Maybe do that. Yeah? Okay. That's just me talking to me at this point. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and subscribe, and put it in the comments if you have any other tips for organizing your TBR, and if this video was helpful. I don't know if it was, I hope it was. And also, if you like this kind of content but want to see more of it and more regularly, please follow me on Instagram at Book and Prejudice. That's where I keep mostly photos of what I'm reading, so you will be able to see a much more updated reading list on my site from there. And I will see you guys next week. It was great to talk to you guys, and bye bye.